can you speak about the negative psychological impact of working in corporate America as an African American?
Okay, so the corporate plantation is probably one of the reasons why black people die earlier than everybody else, especially black men. You're not supposed to, on a daily basis, constantly, consistently go into an environment where there is that much hostility and negative energy that will affect your soul. It affects your body, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything else. And we don't think about that enough because we are so accustomed to it. But again, because my wife is a therapist and she tells me things, one thing that I concluded is that the relationship between black people in corporate America is like a really bad relationship, a really bad marriage. Like you need each other and you stay together, but it's incredibly toxic. And one thing about bad relationships is that the studies actually show that if you're in a relationship where your partner has contempt for you over a long period of time, that will kill you. People die earlier when their partner just has contempt for them. So you're going into this environment where you're not comfortable, you're not happy, they're not happy with you, they're complaining about you, but then you consider yourself lucky because at least you got a job. A lot of us don't even get the job or can't, we get fired on our day off, but you're there. And your partner, you're in this economic relationship with this company, and this heavy codependence, and they have this constant contempt for you. Well, that's not good for you. One time there was a guy that I talked to who was a banker. Now, he's one of those educated Negroes, right? I used to believe the myth that if a black man gets education, all that life gets so much better. I had a whole PhD, and I still saw the same thing that I saw when I worked at Taco Bell. And so this brother who's a banker, he tells me, he says, Dr. Boyce, he talks about how hard it was at his job. He said, man, they would treat me so bad and I was so stressed out. And I'd heard that a lot, from lots of people. And he said, so eventually I got fired. And he said, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. He said, now I'm okay. And I said, you are? I said, so really, tell me about that. So he said, well, let me show you. And he went upstairs and he came down with this big old bucket of pills. He had to take about 8 different types of pills just to maintain his mental health. And I said, wow. And I remember when I saw that big bucket of pills, I said, I don't want to ever be in this situation, because the stress from his job had harmed him psychologically to the point where he said, I was literally emasculated. He said, my testosterone had dropped to the level of almost like a woman. He said, I couldn't get it up for my wife. I was sleeping all day. And I said, wow, so they really emasculated him. And this is what happens all throughout this country. So the rule I have for all black people, this is very basic. Every black child in America needs to learn how to start a business by the age of 12, as an emergency strategy in case they get sick of the corporate plantation and they want to have options. This is not just important for your own mental and physical health, but it's also important for your family. If that job doesn't want you anymore, and then you suddenly believe you're worthless and you're not productive for the family anymore, well, now your children suffer. So I say to people, look, if you don't want to do it for yourself, at least do it for your damn kids. Because you can't tell your 5-year-old son, well, son, we can't eat today because the white man ain't hiring. How's he going to look up to you and admire you if you're talking like that? How's your woman going to respect you as a black man when you're talking about, well, the reason I can't feed you is because that man won't take care of me? Well, she don't want to be with you. She going to want to be with him. She's going to want to go to the source. She'll cut out the middleman. So I just think that black people, period, but really black men, I don't think any black man with any level of intelligence should be spending his whole life just working for other people. I don't think that. I think that as black men, it is absolutely essential that we learn how to build things and create things of our own, because I don't think we're welcome in those other institutions.
It's a tricky situation, right? I hear what you're saying, but it's unrealistic due to the climate that we're in, right? Now, we do encourage more brothers to go out and do their thing, and that's what we hope for. But the average person can't even function on a regular job, better yet, be independent and do that. It's just the reality of it. No disrespect to people, right? I think we need to have more institutions and more support systems to train and teach people, to encourage them, to give them the courage and confidence that they need. One of the things also that with this corporate structure I find is that I think a lot of the frustrations people have because they don't understand nepotism, and they don't understand it's not their system. So, for instance, I think when you going understanding the system, you can minimize the stress despite it being in a wrong, a effed up situation, right? And that's what I mean by that. You hear the complaint in regards to a person didn't get a promotion or this and that, but bro, it's not your company. People take care of their own,
Right.
as a natural human being.
That's true.
You know, so I think if you go on with that mind frame, one, you can limit the amount of energy you're putting in that job, and kind of. I always tell people to split their energy. Sometimes they're giving too much ideas and too much energy to other people. So I always tell people you should have energy when you leave your job. You shouldn't be exhausted. With that excess energy, you can create something outside of that job, and you have to have a realistic expectation for your job. This man is not going to put you next to him as some CEO or CFO, unless you're some crazy talent. If you're that talented, you need to be doing it on your own. You know, so I think that expectation can minimize the stress and psychological torment people think.
I think you're 100% correct, right? And actually, it sounded like we disagree, but actually we agree 100%, right? Yeah, I don't think that every person needs to necessarily be an entrepreneur, but I think everybody should own something that is theirs, other than a job. You don't own that job. That's not your job. When you die, they're not going to pass that job to your children. You'll die at your desk, and they'll replace you within a week. So while everybody can't run a business, everybody should own a piece of some sort of business that just belongs to them. So that could be a side hustle that you have that adds 20% a month to your income that you do with your family. That could be just owning shares of stock. People don't understand, when you buy stock, you own pieces of those businesses. If I want to be in business with McDonald's, I can go buy McDonald's stock right there on my phone app. And just implementing that into your culture, I think is important. Now, your other piece there about having realistic expectations, I think it's important. That's very important, because that, in my view, connects to the illusion of racial equality. This false idea that we're fed as children, that's a complete myth, complete lie, complete fairy tale, that somehow your black ass can walk into a company with the same credentials as the white guy and get treated just like you were white. And then you come in there and you expect that. You think, okay, I got the same degree. We both went to Duke University. We both have MBAs. So my career path is going to be just like his. No, it's not. Because human beings inherently support people that are similar to themselves, right? So for example, you're not going to come into a business that I run as somebody that I can't relate to, who's not in my family, who's not in my culture, and really think that you're really just going to blend in and get the same opportunities I might give my kids. That is an absolute fantasy, right? So ultimately, I think that those realistic expectations and understanding that, sure, you can connect it to racism, but not in the way that you think. Some people say, "Oh, they're racist because they did this to me, did that to me." No, there's racism still there. It's just not, but that's not it. What you're seeing there is nepotism or favoritism or just the fact that we like similar people. The racism comes into play in the sense that this society is so structurally imbalanced. That white people have been given all the capital, all the resources to run all the businesses. So their cultural norms, values, and preferences take precedence over ours. So I come in as a black man who's just as intelligent as a white guy. My ideas are just as good. I would put my brain up next to Elon Musk any day of the week. But Elon Musk can go raise $20-30 billion to go buy companies. It would be harder for me to do that as a black man. And that's where racism steps in. And this is the structural higher level racism that I want people to focus on, not just getting caught up in, oh, he didn't like me because I'm black. Who cares if he likes you? Don't nobody like you. You need to like yourself. Your mama likes you. God likes you. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you got family and culture around you that likes you. That's all you're going to get.